What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 94 of Town. I'm ChanManV. Whoa, wait a second. What's going on? I'm ChanManV. And, well, we've got Zalae and Jackie here joining us. And we've also got Backspace, but Backspace doesn't actually have a cam right now. So I'm going to be, gonna have to fix that in but 1 second. But how you guys doing, guys?
What's doing up? Awesome. Got a world championship coming up. ATLC to talk about.
Yep, doing good. Really looking forward to World Championship as well.
Yeah. Also, it's gonna be fun to interview Amnesiac after he wins.
Oh yeah, I like that confidence. He looks really good right now. He looks serious, so focused too. I think out of all the players that were shown on cam, or I mean they showed all the matches. So out of everybody, I feel like he's the most focused, and he's got that competitive background. Everybody knows.
I don't want to bash on any other people, but like his interviews are really good too in comparison. True. Like, I didn't, dude. He was on my team. I didn't know he was that witty, right? Like,
the kid. What are you talking about?
He's so young.
Yeah.
Definitely. He's growing fast. Like he looked different when I met him in person than when I last saw him for the World Championship. Right? Just like physically, his face is changing and everything. He's that age.
He's a growing boy, man.
Yeah.
So he's maturing and physically and emotionally, which is cool. Was his dad parents there? Everything? I didn't actually catch any of that like last year.
I have no clue.
Yeah, it was kind of cool seeing interviews with his parents last year. That was an interesting element to it.
The young savage.
Yeah.
Young savage. Yeah, when I saw him there, I was like, oh my lord.
Savage. I like how you call him a savage. That's funny.
When times get tough, I become Captain America.
Captain America. But anyways, guys, we've got a full show here. Of course, because we have Backspace here, we're going to talk about ATLC 2 that was announced this week. Lots of details there and lots of questions there too. So we're going to try to ask Backspace all of the great community questions that are going on with that. Also, got an update on the Town Patreon, as well as just the future of the show that I want to talk to everybody about. Also, BlizzCon Top 8, which we've been talking about a bit already. They've announced their decks. They submitted their decks, and it's been posted, so we can actually take a look at what lineup they're bringing. And then we've got our week in Hearthstone, like we always do. That's going to include some of the pre-BlizzCon stuff, Gadgets and talk, what we think is upcoming, our predictions. Also, a few decks that we've been playing this week that we've been having some fun with. Jackie here. I mean, there's got to be something awesome, right, to talk about when it comes to fun decks. And then lastly, we'll have viewer Q&A. You guys can ask any of your questions. Go ahead and tweet those to @ChanManV or @ValueTownGG. And those tweeted questions will have priority. But if you don't have Twitter, if you're in the Stone Ages, then you can post your questions in Twitch chat. Okay, so ATLC Backspace. ATLC 2. For those of you who don't know what ATLC was, it was, at the time, it was Archon Team League Championship, which was probably the most successful team event, as well as just a Hearthstone event, period, just in the history of Hearthstone. And it was a lot of our favorite streamers and pro players brought together. Actually, it was online for the I guess initial season, and then the finals, everybody went to the Archon House, which was it in Texas? It was at the Texas at the time, right?
Yeah, it was Texas.
Yeah,
it was in Texas at the time, and you had this awesome weekend event where it was kind of a mix of home story and then your guys' own flavor, which was a lot of fun. So a lot of people been
it was good.
Yeah, it's definitely good. A lot of people have been anticipating when the next one would be, and it's been roughly a year, right? A little bit over a year now since the previous one, but it's finally announced. So why don't we talk about just the event itself, and then there's a little bit of a twist, which is the whole Kickstarter thing, which we'll get into a little bit. But Backspace, why don't you talk about at least your thoughts on finally getting ATLC 2 announced?
Well, I mean, me and Amaz argue about when to announce it for the last year.
So when was it ready to be done?
So I mean, because this is a little bit of public knowledge by now, because I've done interviews in the past. So like, we lost money on ATLC last year, right? Like, we lost a pretty good chunk. Not a lot, but I mean, like, it was substantial. So every single time that he wanted to launch, I'm like, no, I don't feel like losing money again, right? Even though, I mean, it's a great event and it was really fun, but I wouldn't pay to see that event. Like the amount that we lost, I wouldn't pay that again. But like now we're kind of getting focused on like doing production. Like that's kind of why we dropped the teams. Was like, okay, listen, we're good at two things. One was either being really competitive at Hearthstone, the other one was production. And production is honestly just way more fun. Like it just for like me and Amos, it's just way more fun. So once we dropped the teams, that's when we started planning. So we started planning like 3 months ago, something like that, 4 months ago. And then the announcement was obviously yesterday or the day before that.
Okay, yeah, awesome. And the way it's been structured, different things have been being announced each day because there seems to, on the calendar, there seems to be something scheduled for every day, like after the announcement, which is really, really cool. But one of the things that was announced with the announcement from Amaz was the Kickstarter. So the Kickstarter is, for those who don't know a Kickstarter, it's basically a website or a company that allows for crowdfunding, allows for you guys to crowdfund projects for content makers, game developers, whatever. There's been all kinds of different products made from Kickstarter. And the way it works is that donors, go ahead and contribute their money, and there's a goal that's set to be made, like people are trying to make. And once the goal is made, then the project is kind of, like a go. So they go ahead and they make the product, and at the end, hopefully you have a product that's been made by the crowd, just the fans of whatever that product is. And it feels good, it feels good being one of those people that helped contribute to making the product. So Kickstarter is one of the things that you guys are using for ATLC too. Talk about that a little bit, because nobody's ever used Kickstarter for any Hearthstone event, much less, I don't think, anything in the Hearthstone space.
Yeah, so Dota has this like really cool system that they do.
Yeah.
Right? Where they just
Compendium,
like raise
you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we definitely talked to a bunch of companies. Like G2A is a platform that they've been working on, but it wasn't gonna be ready in time. We talked to like Matcherino, we talked to Indiegogo.
Yep.
Kickstarter seemed like they really wanted to help, right? That's why we chose that platform. But I mean, this is literally the exact same thing. It's just a compendium, right? If Blizzard had a system in place that we could use, we would 100% use it 100% of the time, right? But this is just like, I really feel like when your community supports you in that way, they get attached to you as viewers also. So like that was kind of the basis of the idea. On top of that, I can only talk to so many people and so many sponsors to get the thing funded, right? Like there's only so many sponsors that exist in this space.
Yeah.
And not to bash on anything, but like I do feel like most of the sponsors don't get a lot out of their sponsorships, right? So a lot of them have kind of dropped out over the last year.
Yeah. Somebody's talking in the background. I don't know where that's coming from.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. Probably has to close his door.
Yeah.
So like I mean, a large amount of the sponsors have kind of dropped from this space, right? So this was one, to get like the entire community behind us, and two, let sponsors that don't know they could sponsor us have the capability of seeing that they could just toss in money and we could work with them that way also.
Okay. Go ahead.
So I mean, I think like next week, Amaz is going to make a big announcement that he's going to like do an increase in a tier, where he's like, we're going to do a 50K tier too, and you could have your name in the tournament or do whatever a normal sponsorship would look like. But we kind of wanted to get over the first week and see how it was going before. Because if the entire crowd funded it, we were just going to let it go. But if not, we were going to ask sponsors if they wanted to help participate and all that type of stuff.
Okay, yeah.
So,
why don't we take a look at the page real quick? And those of you that want to contribute to it, I'll link it here in the chat too.
So I feel like we skipped a step here. Like we just dove right into like the business end of
ATLC. Exactly. We should go back. We should go back to the
end, right?
exactly.
Can we talk about like for people who didn't watch ATLC 1 or who like that was a long time ago and they don't remember it perfectly? Backspace, like what is this event about? What are we going to see?
Okay, so the differences between this year and last year, but we're gonna have 10 teams this year.
Okay.
Okay, that's a lot more.
Teams of how many?
Teams of 3. So it's so I have to explain the whole format. Okay, so it's 10 teams, 3 players on each team, and it's team conquest, right?
Mm-hmm.
So each team plays versus each team, and you have to get a win with 6 different classes. Honestly, me and Amaz haven't really even talked about it because we might do 8 classes or like 7 classes and have a captain that has 4 decks.
8 classes. So priest is banned. and then
Yeah. It could be like 8 classes or 7 classes, and the captain of the team, like the highlighted player, has an extra deck. Right?
Okay, so it's a little bit up in the air. You're still kind of trying to hammer out some of the details, but
bit.
it's like a team of 3 players playing a bunch of decks against another team of 3 players in a conquest style format.
Yeah, it's the only like Hearthstone related team tournament that has existed, and so that's kind of what it was last year.
Yeah,
right?
and just to clarify, the teams aren't necessarily like organizations that are teams. They're going to consist of some of those, as well as teams that are going to be created from different players and streamers and whatnot.
We just announced the Gentlemen's Club today, which is forcing. Which was it? It's like Forcing, Osaka, and Super JJ. So you have like Forcing, the BlizzCon champion, and then Super JJ is like one of the best players in the world right now, right? Like,
yeah, for sure.
Yep.
Yeah. So that team actually looks sick. And when Forcing wants to win, Forcing really wins. So that team could be pretty hard. I don't know.
It sounds pretty good to me. When all of them are serious, they all play really great. So
kind of the basis of this tournament wasn't so like Hearthstone is the huge draw of it, right? Like we wanted to have Hearthstone exist in a tournament that was a large scale. But what we kind of noticed over just doing like our normal events, which is typically a 3-day event, is that there's no storyline built behind it. So we really wanted to make a tournament that you got attached to a team or 2 teams. And like you were waiting for the next episode to come out, right? So that's really kind of how the tournament came together. Like me and Amaz were talking about how like if we do something, it has to be a longer stretch of things because one-off events, they're fun, but like we really want people to like, be itching and scratching for the next event to come out.
Okay.
And I really feel like say again?
Like Game of Thrones. Really can't wait for the next season, the next episode to come out.
Yeah.
So I think we had like the coolest part about ATLC last year was like the surprising teams that did do well, like Value Town, like Trump's team. Like nobody knew who Brian Kibler. Yeah, nobody knew who Brian Kibler was last year, right?
He was just crushing everyone with Shaman.
Yeah, and he went undefeated. Like I mean, me and Zalae, we were Magic players, so we knew who Brian Kibler was. We expected him to do well. We didn't expect him to have the best, like the best win rate, but we expected him to do very well. And I think like that team, like there would never be a standout team like that in any other tournament, right? So like Brian Kibler was introduced to Hearthstone over the course of 10 weeks in a storyline event, and now he's Brian Kibler, like he's a huge name in this space. So I think it gives like people opportunities to really stand out over the course of a long period of time, which no other tournaments do this. I think BlizzCon did a really good job this year with it. So I mean, maybe we lose our edge in the future, but that's kind of what the tournament is all about. Like start watching, get attached to somebody, and root for them, right?
Yeah.
Cool.
I mean, the difference between that and Blizzard is that you guys have very popular people, carrying storylines with very popular people. So that obviously is very enticing to the community too, just seeing their favorite guys get a chance to play each other.
So we are going to have a qualifier, right? So like you could, I assume it's on Amaz's Twitch page, and we have a tweet on his Twitter that like you could submit a qualification in, and you could try to form your own team. It's like a 4-week-long qualifier to get a chance to like enter ATLC. You win like a full streamer setup. Yeah. You win a full streamer setup. So like we give you like a computer, 2 monitors, a webcam, probably a desk and a chair. I haven't really figured that out yet. Like a full setup. And then you form your own team at ATLC. I don't have anything signed in papers yet, but I'm in talks with China also. And I think that they want to run their own qualifier and also have a team participating this year too.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Sounds good.
So would that be 2 teams then from qualifiers?
It would probably be 2 teams from qualifiers. That would give us 10 teams total.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that'd be cool. So, have it more global. It's already pretty global, but that would be...
If the Amazon Coins team wins ATLC this year, I think it would be the best thing ever that happened to Hearthstone. Because
Amazon Coins team.
Well, I mean that's not what they're going to be called. I don't know what we're going to call them. But
who's on that team?
Oh, the qualifying team.
The qualifying
Me.
team.
Okay.
Got it. Okay, yeah.
That's the
Jackie's
Jackie
on
Chan
it. What am I
team.
talking about? Jackie's on it.
Team Jackie. Actually, Jackie, if you win, I'll convince Amaz to name it Team Jackie Chan.
Oh, I love that.
There you go.
Deal.
There you go.
Because the memes I could make about that.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Seems good.
That would be amazing. Totally.
Look forward to it.
Yeah, so as a player, Jackie, like, having it a qualifier, into this big tournament, like, how do you feel about it?
I think it's really exciting. It's obviously a huge tournament where kind of players like me would have a chance. Like having a qualifier is also gets a lot of people excited about it. So, and it'll be extremely exciting to watch. So yeah, I think it's great.
Let's talk about the process of the qualifier backspace. It's because there's a selection process and then there's an actual tournament, right?
Yeah. So I think right now we're just collecting emails. Amaz told me in our last phone call that we had around 300 emails. We're going to select a group of those. We're going to select a chunk of those and ask them to do like a video recording and send it in to us, and then give us like, who they are in the scene, maybe like how often they practice, all that type of stuff. Kind of like a Blizzard pre-roll or like Survivor style like interview. And then we're going to watch all those and we're going to select. It's in between 32 and 45 players. We don't actually know yet. And the tournament is in 2 weeks. So we plan things really well.
Yeah, we're good on top of it.
Well, the more the merrier, right?
Don't worry, guys. It's always been like this.
It's
ATLC
Under control. Everything's under control.
Yeah,
the
actually,
behind the scenes, right?
If you guys actually like read my Forbes interview, the guy's like, "So, did it take like 4 or 5 months to plan this?" I'm like, "Yeah, me and Amaz just kind of planned it over lunch. It took about 15 minutes. Then we implemented it 3 days beforehand." And he's like, "Wait, what?" And we're like, "Yeah." It's kind of like an episode of South Park, right? Like you just get everything done 2-3 days beforehand, and you just hope it works.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what's the date on it again? It's going to be.
I'm not good with dates. Let me go check.
Is it December or is it?
I think it's
2017.
November. So it starts November 10th, 11th, and it ends December 1st, 2nd, 3rd.
Oh wow! Okay, so it's really soon then.
Yeah,
that's the qualifier period or the main event?
That's the Amazon qualifying period, and then the main event is going to start either in the middle of January or the very beginning of February.
So did you guys plan this thing around an expansion or?
No, I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay. Maybe that priest pick Zalae actually won't be that bad.
Usually it takes like 2 or 3 expansions, right? Like the first one's like, ooh, you can play priest. And then 2 expansions more, you're like, oh god, not this.
I mean, there's like a Reddit thread that I've seen that like kind of shows the exact time periods that Blizzard releases their sets, so you guys can kind of figure that out.
Yeah.
All
right. Very cool. Well, definitely excited about it. So getting back to the business thing, because this is where I just want to make sure we ask questions that the community wants to know, and this is kind of maybe the tougher question, but you've already kind of answered it, which was had to do with the Kickstarter. But the total amount here, I think, is one of the things that people were wondering about, just like that big number. And now that you mentioned that sponsors will probably participate, like the way that they sponsor it, and maybe add to the Twitter, that makes a lot more sense, right?
This is a great question. Mm-hmm. So last year's event, and this is very public, I've already done this in interviews, right? Because like Nidra from Gosu Gamers has like kind of been bashing us on Reddit, so I would love to address this, right? Yes. So last year's event cost $600,000, right? And we did not have $600,000 in funding. In fact, I think we just paid Clento, which was our last like 3 months ago or something like that. But that was like banking issues. That was like banking issues from like Hong Kong stuff. And Clinton was perfectly fine, and I don't think he was ever worried that we weren't going to pay him or something. But so like it cost $600,000 to run that event, right? That's a $250,000 prize pool and about $350,000 in like production stuff, right? Like a live finale, not in our house. Like we've been quoted. Yeah, we've been quoted at like $120,000 to $150,000. So we ran our live finale for under $45,000, which is probably one of the cheapest, largest viewed finales ever. Right? All the players complained that the hotel room was crap, so we'll probably upgrade it this year. But like it was done very, very cheaply. Like, our microphones are on macaroni and cheese boxes.
You mean everybody didn't sleep in that house? Are you sure? We had beanbags all over the place. I thought everybody was staying there, man.
We had a couple people sleep. Like Reckful slept over, but he wasn't even playing in the tournament.
Reckful's the squatter, man. He's everywhere. Yeah.
We probably had a couple people sleep in and out. I mean, every single room in the house is turned into a production room, right? So like, my personal bedroom it had 5 computers in it, and it was the Chinese broadcasting room, right? So like, this event is very, very expensive. So like, it's kind of weird when you say, "Hey, yeah, we want 200K," and the community is like, "Why? How expensive can this possibly be?" But like, just art, right? Just art for the event. It's around like the $20,000 to $30,000 range, right? Like, if you have like 32 players, that's almost 400 different art scenes that you need for this one tournament, right? And then you had to make sure the production guy literally knows every single player in the tournament, because like if he puts up the wrong name, we look like an idiot. He doesn't look like an idiot. We look like idiots. So like you have to have good production people, and it's a long process.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is like a very low level TV show essentially, right? So the price seems really, really high. It'll seem way less high the week after BlizzCon, right? So like this Kickstarter's the first week is like whatever. I don't care if it does well. We're going to be promoting it during the Amazon tournament when we have 50, 60,000 viewers, right? And then on top of that, after BlizzCon, a lot of the celebrities that are in the tournament that said they'd help us promote it will be back from BlizzCon, and they'll help promote it. Yeah. So like if you actually average it out to like an Amaz, Forsen, Trump, Hafu, Clinto, these are all people that average very, very high viewership. I think that through like the whole community, this could actually get funded. Whereas like if it was just Amaz, I think we'd probably settle at about 12K. right? Like,
that's a lot less, man. No.
Right. So the number's so high because these things are very expensive to run. And then on top of that, we have like some pretty big celebrities in the tournament that want to participate and they want to back us. So
and so I think a lot of people are wondering that just because the general, I think maybe the general results that you see from Kickstarter, if it was just say a game or something like that, right, or a tabletop game or whatever it is you see a lot of push in the very beginning, and then you see a lot of push at the very, very end of the campaign. But it does sound like this one's going to be completely different. So, I guess folks that are just seeing it right now, for instance, it's so low, it's blah, 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 blah. This is going to be a completely different thing than any of the other Kickstarters you see.
Yeah, most Kickstarters don't have a live audience, right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, so like, and we actually get to push it. Like most Kickstarters, they go there because they have no way to get funded and no way to get. So we have a pretty big reach, and we're hopefully going to be able to utilize it correctly, right? Like our fans of Hearthstone, not just like Amaz fans, but the fans of Hearthstone, they're super dedicated. Like these guys love this game. So hopefully we get backed. Yeah.
And also, I want to talk about like the size of the goal. Like just looking at it from a logical perspective, you get your money back if it doesn't hit the 200K, right? So you just don't care how high the goal is. It's like if you want to see it happen, you support it, and then either you get your money's worth and it happens, or you don't.
Yeah,
there's no downside, right? Like I guess your money's tied up for a few weeks or months until the Kickstarter ends. It's less than 30 days, actually.
Yeah, for those of you guys that don't understand or might be thinking of Indiegogo, versus Kickstarter, Indiegogo is the crowdfunding site and organization where when you pledge, that money is like forever gone. Like the company or the project or whatnot will get that money no matter what. With Kickstarter, if you don't actually meet the goal, the money just goes back to you. So there's really no risk involved. If you want to support this thing, just throw, put money into it, and if it makes it, then it makes it. Which brings the next question. Backspace is
actually, can I comment on some more things I saw on Reddit?
Sure, yeah, go for it. Yeah.
So like somebody made this point that was just like they already pay to watch us by giving us their viewership. I totally agree with that. Like I do think that our viewers are very valuable, and without them we wouldn't make money, right? But like some of the things that they said afterwards, like ask Blizzard for help. Ask the teams to pay their teams to pay their way in or whatever. clearly we've explored those options, right? So like if we've already explored those options and we're doing this, it's not like we didn't explore those options. I think, right, like talking to a team being like, hey, listen, we just want 50K from you. like teams are not really making like this absurd amount of money. Like all the money the teams have go back into their team almost immediately, right? So like whether this tournament exists or not, it helps teams, which is something that we're proud of, but it's not really going to hurt them if it doesn't exist, if that makes sense. So we've actually already explored the options of like, hey guys, why don't all the teams pay to get in? Or hey guys, why doesn't Blizzard help us, right? Like Blizzard's busy doing their own stuff and they do that stuff amazingly, right? Mm-hmm. But like they don't want to just be like, hey, here's $500,000, right? Like that's not really like the business that Blizzard's in. So some of the stuff on Reddit that I was reading that like had some negative connotation behind it. I would definitely have to say that our viewership, like our viewers are the reason why we make money, right? But also our viewers are the reason why these type of tournaments still exist, right? Like that, I mean, no big streamer would be streaming if there wasn't money behind it. That's just like clear, right? So like, I think asking our viewers for help was never a bad thing. It was always a good thing.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think there's a couple things like what you said there. I mean, Blizzard backing it would actually make the tournament something completely different, anyways. So, you know, you wouldn't want Blizzard to, I think, back ATLC, like because they, you know, there's definitely restrictions like involved with a Blizzard sponsored event. And I think ATLC does a lot of fun and cool things that I'm not sure Blizzard would really want in one of their heavily sponsored events. So that's that. And then secondly, yeah, I mean it's you know the space there isn't much sponsor. And I was going to talk a little bit later about the show, but it's like their sponsorships are definitely becoming less and less in this space. And
yeah, I mean you guys can literally just go browse your favorite streamers and look and see what. Like if they're not in a team, right? Like go look and see what sponsors they have, and if you compare it to last year, they've been dropping out. So
yeah. So the total, you mentioned that the last one cost $650. So how does this add up?
Oh man, have we got a lot better at a lot of things?
Okay.
Well, one, the price pool is going to be smaller, right?
Yeah.
Like to start with. On top of that, we recycle all of our art. So like we just changed color schemes now, which costs way less. We already own all the production equipment. So like we own like 3 or 4 or 5K cameras. We have production computers, and these are like $10,000 computers, right? So things got a lot cheaper, ChanManV.
When you reuse things, yeah, it's actually amazing how much it goes down.
Yeah,
okay.
We got way more efficient.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, if you actually look down on there's actually a calendar that shows that I think further down here what's going to be going on, at least schedule wise. So lots of team reveals going on the next week. Obviously, the little break for BlizzCon, which is definitely really good, and it looks like there's a lot of AMAs too with the mods. I think every single weekend. So if you have, or even just midweek here too. So it looks like if you have any questions about it, then you can ask Maz.
Most of the AMAs are, I think he just has like random things on there. He's doing one on Forbes, one on ESPN, one on Yahoo.
Oh, okay.
Esports.
Oh, I wasn't sure if they were live or okay.
Yeah, we haven't updated the calendar on the Kickstarter yet. But I mean, this entire week is just like we're getting out to as many platforms as possible to talk about the event. Mm-hmm. And it might not just be only Amaz doing the AMAs. Also, like if Hafu or Trump or anybody else wants to join in, I'm gonna invite them to do it too.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that'd be smart. That'd be definitely good. Yeah. You can ask about the teams and whatnot. All right, well, I'm excited. I'm again, like this was one of the most successful tournaments, and arguably the most successful tournament we've seen so far in Hearthstone. So the second one coming out, I mean, it's just going to be more epic, I imagine.
I think it's definitely the most successful. Like it hit 160K viewers concurrent, on like just the Twitch stream. And that's like there were factors that were very much working against it.
Oh my god! I thought
that was during the live finale.
At 100. Wow.
And also, like the internet went out because somebody like drove their car into a box nearby or something, right? Like
what?
Yeah, like what? That was a thing.
It's like really unlucky, but at our peak viewership, somebody hit the telephone wire outside of our house. So like, and on top of that, the most hyped match was next. So it was like we probably would have hit like 200,000 viewers or more.
Oh my god, that was
whatever. Sometimes you get unlucky. I mean, we were running out of
bad RNG.
bad RNG. It's hard, right? Oh man.
I don't know. You can't expect any more from a Hearthstone event.
All right, so casters. What are you guys thinking about casters? Oh, the caster reveal is the 27th. Okay.
Yeah, that's coming.
Okay. Yeah, that's coming.
Yeah, we have some cool casters lined up, obviously. Man, we have some other really cool stuff that like he's probably gonna reveal. I'll just reveal some of it now. Like, right. if our casters get into an argument on stream, we're gonna stop the stream and they have to have a caster match for like 5K. Like we're gonna be doing some really cool stuff. Like literally, if you like miss an episode, you might miss something really epic, right? Like if like Firebat and Zalae are arguing, and Firebat's like, no, Ragnaros is terrible in this deck, so you'd be like, okay, let's battle. And then like they get to battle.
All of a sudden, it goes into this mode where there's like Pokemon battle or something.
Sounds hilarious.
That does
and then like the loser has to wear a dunce cap. Like,
oh my gosh. Well, the biggest question is, will there be a bench again this year?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, the bench.
Humiliation.
I mean, like we had to implement the bench rule because it was like somebody went 0-4. And it was just like, wow, that was the most boring thing ever, just watching them lose nonstop. So we
right.
So literally in the middle of the tournament, we're like, oh, by the way, there's this bench rule.
That was the walk of shame, man. The cameraman just following the guy walking down the stairs and then sitting on the bench. That was the best, man. That was classic, totally. All right, Backspace. Well, I mean, I appreciate you guys, definitely coming on the show and talking about it with us and answering any questions. I'm sure folks will still have a few questions which you guys will answer in the AMAs, but overall I'm super excited about it, and really cool that you're going to be involving as many players as possible with the qualifiers too.
Yeah. The qualifiers is like a really important part of the tournament this year. Okay, we'll try to get Amaz on here in the next week or so.
Okay. Yeah. That'd be awesome.
Maybe you can interview like an entire team, right? At some point in time, like next week or something like that.
Yeah, that'd be amazing.
Cool.
All right.
Thanks for having me on, guys. Appreciate it.
All right.
Bye.
Thanks, Backspace. Later.
See ya.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, it's going to be cool. Jackie, we better see you in that tournament, man. Like,
I'll
I will revolt. I will definitely revolt. Like, Amaz, what's going on? Come on. You got to be picking this dude. Like,
I'll try my little heart out.
Yeah, I got to see that video too. If you need me to give you some comments on the video. It's not dank enough, dude, to make the cut. I can definitely, give you some of that advice.
Jackie will crush it for sure. That's exactly his kind of talent set, I think.
Yeah, totally. Okay, guys. Well, why don't we move on? I do have an update. It's kind of funny, like with this current thing that we're talking about. Actually, I want to give a quick shout out to the guys on iTunes. A lot of folks listen to the show, via audio, just audio podcast on Google. A lot of different apps too, like Pocket Cast and Stitcher or whatnot. But I do want to give a shout out to the iTunes folks that do leave 5-star reviews, because it helps a lot of folks that are looking for Hearthstone podcasts find Value Town. And Tim, PTK, and White Puma, thank you so much for doing that. And if you also listen to the show and enjoy it, feel free to leave a 5-star review and a comment. That would be awesome. Also, I want to give a plug out to some of the patrons that support the show, and some of them have been supporting for a long time. So really, really awesome guys. Gary D, Devin W, David T, Cameron M, Joel A, William C, Michael W, and Andrew R. And before we get on to just like the fun stuff, I just want to get all this out of the way. I did update the Patreon video, and as well as a milestone today, and kind of want to talk maybe a few minutes about that. So the video talks, it's a more updated one. The other one's pretty old, but it also talks about just kind of what we're planning in the future for the show and whatnot. And the first milestone I added was basically the minimum support that we need to continue doing the show in 2017. We've been doing the show for a long time. I've been doing the show for like 3 years now, and I think what we do here, I think we've got something good here. I think a lot of folks really, really enjoy the show. And
no, I do.
I hope you do.
I do.
Not me.
My third time on it.
Exactly, right. And the thing is that the reality is that all of us are doing this for just to support ourselves now, streaming and shows and content and whatnot. And currently the show is 100% backed by the Patreon now. I know you guys knew before that it was sponsored by Tempo Storm, but that sponsorship's ended now, so it's 100% sponsored by you guys and the Patreon. But currently the Patreon, where it's at right now isn't enough to really support the amount of time and the amount of dedication that we do give to the show. So if you do like the show, if you love the show, if you care about the show, please go to patreon.com/valuetown and and make a pledge there, because the plan is right now we're going to continue doing the show until the end of the year, and we'll take a look at that, see if that milestone is hit at the end of the year, and if it is, then awesome, we'll continue doing the show, get a chance to maybe even do more things, because there were so many things I had planned when I started the Patreon that I wanted to do with patrons, but we just haven't had enough patrons to even do them, or interest from the patrons. So if it meets it, then awesome, we get to do some more things. If it doesn't meet it, then we'll probably have to make that tough decision of stopping the show indefinitely. So again, you guys can make a difference. I hope you guys go and or if you can go and make a pledge there, so we can continue doing it.
Yeah. So if I could just add on to this, it's just kind of like, if you're good at something, don't do it for free, right? Like, we love the show. It's a lot of fun to do every week. But we put a lot of time into it, and we do need to support ourselves. And so, if Value Town is important to you, we need to see that support, like,
it's one of those things too, where it's like, it's partially my fault because I'm terrible at like asking for support and selling stuff that I do or whatnot, and it's partially my fault. But I want to make sure that you guys know, so it's not just like one day where it's like, oh guys, this last episode, we're done, it's too late. I don't want to do that. So, I definitely want to give you guys, a heads up where we are, be honest and transparent about it. And, if you guys can, then, it's awesome. If you can't, then, obviously the support wasn't enough for the show. And that's okay. We'll go on and do some more cool things, but, just want to let you guys know. Okay, let's get